Welcome to the Times of Industry show. I am very excited to have Rana Vig with us today. I've gotten to know him in the last few weeks, and I am very excited for you to get to know him as well. Rana was involved in taking companies public in the last few years. Some of the biggest raises in the cannabis sector with Curaleaf and with Harvest Health and Rec. And recently, he came back to the gold sector and founded a phenomenal company that I want you to get familiarized with. But before all that, let's talk about everything that's going on right now with the markets and the economy. Rana, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Rana, with the Federal Reserve, I want to start off with this. We had Jerome Powell last week, a very sensational stuff that he was talking about. Some of it has to do with the way that they look at inflation and the dangers of low inflationary expectations and what can that do. I want to ask you what you thought about this in light of gold already being at all-time highs. So what do you think is next for the metal? And then secondly, with everything that's going on with negative real rates, do you think that this will change, or are we in an environment right now where negative rates are here to stay?
Well, you listen, absolutely. You know what? What's going on around the world today? With the economy, with all this money that's being printed at unprecedented rates. Gold's got nowhere but up to go up, right? I mean, this is what we've been talking about. People have been talking for years and years. And listen, that's the reality. And this was all before COVID, and now COVID add that uncertainty to the mix. And I think that this is the most exciting time that anyone's ever seen in the precious metals. So it's got nowhere but up to go.
I want to talk to you about the baby boomers and how they've been reacting to COVID. Obviously, an entire generation that is looking to liquidate, to retire, to put their mind at ease with investing. They've been through the dot-com, they've been through 2008, they've been through 2018 and now 2020. What would happen if this generation starts to realize that, hey, the cash does nothing? I mean, why am I selling and what am I going into? Because it's very known that only 0.5 of all the asset universe is currently in gold, whereas in 2011 it was 0.85, so 60% higher, which implies higher metal prices, as you say. What do you think about this? You're obviously a baby boomer yourself. How do you look at this from your perspective, and maybe talk in general terms about the entire generation?
Well, look, it's a very interesting point. It's really starting to hit people. What's happening. I'll give you a very simple example. When I was growing up in the 70s, my father was a civil engineer. Made about $45,000 a year. The first house he bought was roughly $45,000 in Vancouver at that time. Today, the same civil engineer makes about $85,000 a year. But you know what? That same property is worth over $1 million. So, you look at the value and how much it's decreased. So, yeah, people are realizing more and more that the value of currency is going down at an unprecedented rate. And the only way really to preserve that is to be in the precious metals. And that's why I think you're seeing this continuous rise. And all the big players like Bank of America just recently revised their gold call to be $3,000 next year. So I think that people are looking at that more and more and starting to jump in sooner rather than later.
One thing that's very interesting is silver. It had an amazing 6-month period right now, with July being the best month since the Hunt brothers. And within that, there was a trading week where it was the best on record. Do you think it's possible for us to see all-time highs nominally with silver?
Oh, absolutely. If you look at the filings, all major investors and institutions are required to file their 13Fs, every quarter. And if you look at the most recent one, I mean, we're looking at Morgan Stanley, UBS, Wells Fargo, Barclays, Bank of America, BlackRock, and the list just goes on and on. All of them are jumping into silver, right? So, what does that mean? Well, supply is going to get tighter and tighter. So it's got to go up, right? I mean, so yeah, I mean, I think it's a very exciting time.
You're in Canada, and obviously you're looking at the from the outside looking in with the November elections. I'm also outside of the United States, and I follow a lot what's happening inside of America. From a Canadian perspective, do you think it matters who wins the elections for the gold sector? Do you have different scenarios that you think it'll trade if Democrats win or if Republicans win?
No, you know what? I really don't think it's going to make a lot of difference because you've got on the one side you've got the Republicans, right, which if they in the markets, unfortunately with the riots and what's going on with the handling of COVID. So I think there's going to that instability is going to continue. You have the Democrats on the other side. If they win, they're left leaning, as you know, and they're going to spend like there's no tomorrow. So you're going to continue to again have these policies that are going to force them to bottom line is they got to put people back to work. And how are they going to put people back to work? They got to print more money. They got to print more money. That's going to be a great environment for the precious metals. So I don't think it's going to make any difference who wins in November.
Okay, so we've established that you're very bullish on gold and silver with everything that's going on in the environment. Let's talk a little bit about the company that you founded, Blue Lagoon Resources. For one thing, from what I've assessed on the flagship project, the Doe Mountain, you were able to purchase it without spending any cash. So it was an all-share deal. And then the previous owners already spent about $68 million, yet you bought it for about $30 million. In this environment, maybe you can talk a little bit about that. And then the project only has like a $1 million commitment going forward in order to start producing if it's going to do that in the next 12, 18, et cetera, months from now. So, if you can talk a little bit about that. And then it has about 85,000 ounces of mineable gold right now as the plan stands. Maybe talk about a little bit about that and how that compares to other companies with regards to their cash flow and, how the project actually fits together.
Yeah, so we were very fortunate. We, as you said, this project has already seen over $68 million spent on it. I was, it's about timing, right? When I started talking to this group last October, when gold was still around 1450, 1500, it was pre-COVID, right? That hadn't happened yet, so markets were not all that bullish. So I was very patient. And I was a tough negotiator and was able to really, grab this deal at an incredible price using our stock as a currency at the time when we were at an all-time high, and was able to pick this property up for zero cash and all shares. That was and escrowed. All their stock that they received are escrowed for the next 30 months with the small releases, quarterly, starting next year. So that was incredible. And in terms of the capex, it's unbelievable. We only have to spend $1 million US approximately to get this thing back into production. And people often, look at that and go, well, how's that possible? Well, that's because all this money's already been spent. 28 million was just in the last dozen years where they spent it all on infrastructure, mine development, and permitting. Permitting can take years and years. So that's all done. Environmental permits all in place. Everything is in place. They literally got this thing to the 1 yard line, and unfortunately just ran out of time. And what I mean by that is, age. Right, they're 83 years old now. Wonderful people. They're 83 years old now, and not in the best of health. And along, we came, right, and scooped this project up in order to get it over to the finish line. And then your last point was, we have 5,000 currently mineable gold there, and that's just not even scratching the surface. That's just because 90% of the property is yet to be explored. So that 85,000 ounces, if you just do a quick back of the napkin math, right? Our cost of production is under $1,000 at $2,000 gold. Well, you can do the math. I mean, that's a pretty significant amount of cash that we're going to be able to generate here over the next dozen years, which is the current mine plan. But of course, as I said, that's just scratching the surface because there's a whole amount of area. There's 15 other known veins there on the property that have, very limited work done on them. And then beyond that, there's still the 90% of the property that isn't even touched yet.
It's been a very good year for gold companies. Just to give people an idea, what is the current market cap? The 68 million has already been spent on this project. What's the market cap of Blue Lagoon Resources as we speak?
So currently we're just under 40 million Canadian.
Okay, so again, there's already been $68 million spent on this property.
That's correct.
Additional 1 million, and doing the work involved to get it back into production is about $1 million. And if I looked at the numbers right, the free cash flow is north of 25 million. So basically, as a company, you're going to spend about 1 million and you're going to get about 25 times that. So an incredible potential. And by the way, you can read all of Wealth Research Group copies on this at wealthresearchgroup.com/blue. And of course, make sure that you reel all the way through and look at our disclaimer as well. I want to ask you about silver, because in this property, as I understand it, there's 4 times the amount of silver as there is gold. Is that true?
Yeah. So on our main Boulder vein, where the mine is currently, the ratio is 4 to 1. So for every 1 gram of gold we have, we've got 4 grams of silver. So, and my team keeps reminding me, hey, you got to talk about the silver, because we keep forgetting about it. We got a lot of silver there, and the beauty, of course, is it's a bonus. Nobody was really all that interested in it, because when we did the deal, the silver was around $12, $13, $14 Canadian. Now it's 27, right, and climbing. Right, many of the thought leaders are projecting it to be somewhere between $50 and $100. So, there's an incredible amount of profit for us to be made here, just for free as a bonus, right? With all the silver that we've got on the property.
Okay, regarding the for free, just so I understand it, when a company issues an all-in sustaining cost for mining the gold, which is below 1,000, as you say, for Joe Mountain, it already includes the price of getting that silver out of there as well, correct? There is no additional, you're talking about sub 1,000 to get 85,000 ounces of gold out.
Yes.
And within that basket of expenses, it's already with the silver as well. Is that what you're referring to?
That's right. When we send out the ore, to the mill, I mean, all that processing, all that costs are already included, and that's our cost, under $1,000 to produce, an ounce of gold.
Understood. And you're not a one asset company. You have diversified also into 2 other properties. Can you quickly go over those 2 other properties as well?
Sure. I mean, when we did the deal, actually, to acquire this Dome Mountain project, they had another property called the Big Onion, which is a big copper porphyry sitting right next to this main property that we have. So I negotiated that to be included in it as well. And, copper wasn't that much in play here a few months ago, but everything that I'm reading now, they're saying that copper is going to be in play again with the governments wanting to put people back to work. One of the big things that has to happen is infrastructure. That's typically how governments put people back to work. They want to build buildings and bridges and roads, and copper is required for that. And of course, the whole electric, car movement, it requires, 4 times more copper goes into an electric car than a regular car. So we negotiated that property as well. It's a beautiful property. Doesn't cost the company any money for the next 4 years. It can just sit there, and it's my intention to get that, monetize that here shortly. We've already got people interested in looking at that property. We also have another property called the Palair property, which is in about central British Columbia. It's a beautiful property that has 10 high-grade veins on it. It has had some exploration work done on it. But the main thing that I like about it is that we can relatively quickly monetize that, because there's 25,000 plus tons of mineralized material sitting there that we can just truck out of there and take it to a mill. And at this 1,900, 2,000 dollar, plus gold, that's worth multi-millions to us. And we don't need any permits for that. We would have actually done that by now already, but COVID kind of slowed us down a little bit. But we're working on that right now. And certainly next year, we're going to truck that out of there and get that monetized. So those are really our three main areas of focus where we can monetize and build shareholder value.
Okay, so just to quickly recap, there's a project that is very near term. If it goes into production, Dome Mountain only requires another $1 million because 68 has already been spent by the previous shareholders, owners of the project, and you came in literally at the 1 yard line, as you say. So that's all well and good. And there's, to my knowledge, very few companies in North America and in Canada that are going to be in production in the next 12 months. So this is something that's rare. Like you said, the market cap is lower than what they've already spent on this project, which is quite unique. And you have two other properties that you're looking for ways to monetize. One of them already has truckloads worth of ore ready to go. Does the company, I found out about it. I looked into it. I thought it was very intriguing. Usually, there are other people that are looking at these kinds of deals. Do you have any significant shareholders that have looked at this and said, "This is I want to own a piece of this company"?
Yeah, well, the funny thing is, we haven't had a whole lot of time, to be honest with you. We just acquired this project 4 months ago, and are moving. And we just did a financing. We just closed it a couple of weeks ago. And one of the first people who saw that was Peter Brown, who's the former, who's the founder of Canaccord, which is one of the most respected and one of the biggest independent brokerage houses in North America. And he heard about it inside, and he came in. And before we could actually talk to anybody else, the financing closed. It was way oversubscribed and the financing closed. So we're just literally starting to talk about it. It's a very under the radar company. You're like my second interview. We haven't even hardly talked to anybody about this company. We're just getting going. So you're going to see as this, we believe, as this story gets out, you're going to see a lot more people like Peter appreciate the story and come into it.
Canaccord is a big name. Anybody that looks it up, it's one of the powerhouses in terms of brokers. But for people who are not from Canada and do not understand the size of Canaccord and what and the amount of deals that a person like Peter Brown looks at, he has the entire buffet, right? You can go. It's like going to a hotel. He has the whole buffet in front of him. Is it rare to see him invest in a company that is early stage or this size, et cetera? Can you talk a little bit about your exchanges with him on becoming a shareholder, what he saw? Maybe talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for him, but I'll tell you what was fascinating. I had lunch with him, and it was fascinating. Here's a guy who's probably financed more mining companies in Canada than any single individual, right? He's been around for many years. He's a mining guy, understands it in and out. And I had the pleasure of having lunch with him, and he said something fascinating to me. He said, what, in all my career, right, that he's been doing this for 40 plus years. He's retired now, right? He's about 80 years old now, just sharp as a tack. And he's telling me, he said, in all my years, I have never seen an environment like this for gold or for precious metals because of what's happening with unprecedented printing of money, unprecedented chaos, right, in the United States and around the world, and what's happening. And he says, Rana, he says, you will not believe that and add to that COVID, right? I mean, who could have predicted this and who could have seen that, right? He said, when you have all these factors mixed into this, he says, that is an environment that gold is going to thrive on. He says, I have never experienced this in my career. And he says, wait till you see. He says, you won't believe, what's about to happen in the markets here for the precious metals and gold and companies like ours.
Sure. And if I may just add a little bit to that. Look, we've seen Ted and Todd, the two people that Warren Buffett trusts most in the world to manage Berkshire's money. They put $500 million into Barrick. You have people like Sem Zell that have never owned gold in their lives. tell you that gold is a phenomenal opportunity. And then you have the veterans. You have Ray Dalio, you have Paul Tudor Jones, you have David Iron, you have Stanley Durgan. I mean, the case is definitely changing for gold and why own gold. I want to ask you, if people are looking to get more information about the company, can they reach out directly, and who to in your firm?
Listen, I'm a very engaged and active CEO. I'm happy to talk to any investor. My email and my phone number is right on all the filings. So I'm happy to speak to any investor, large or small.
That is great to hear, Rana. And we'll definitely post your email, and perhaps even your phone number on the description for this interview. And I really want to thank you for taking the time. We've learned a lot about everything that's going on, and I wish you good luck and all the best with the company.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.